Hi, shalom. You know, we've made remarkable progress in technology in bridging distances between two places. I mean, what used to take months by ship and forever by foot, we could traverse today in hours or maybe days. Not only that, but it's pretty remarkable what we take for granted. For example, if I were to put down traveling from San Francisco to Sacramento, how long will it take? It'll actually break it. It'll say, if you're going by car, X amount of time, bicycle, rail, bus, and foot. It's amazing. Depending on what I take, and for the form of locomotion, that's how much time it will take. I mean, we take for granted what is truly marvelous. We could go on a plane in San Francisco, and they will tell us with remarkable accuracy when we're going to land in Japan. I mean, how do they know that? When we talk about going to outer space, it's amazing. Like we have for now, we have actually technology on Mars. It's I think it was a 9-month journey. 9 months. Can you predict what's going to be and where you're going to be in 9 months? And yet, they did. They landed it. Okay, so what I've pointed out, which is obvious to all of us, is that we're very, very, very good in predicting travel time. So here's my question number one. How long does it take to travel from Earth to heaven? A day, a month, a year, a decade, a millennium, forever? Okay, before I answer this question, let me point out another phenomenon. How long does it take to turn? Well, you're walking, and someone make believe your name is Yaakov. Someone says, "Hey, Yaakov!" How long does it take for you to stop and turn around? The answer is no time at all. Well, you're on a bicycle. Yaakov! So you have to stop the bicycle and then turn around. Chances are the bicycle moved a couple of inches between when you stopped and turned. Now, if you're in traffic and someone shouts, Yaakov, and how long does it take? Well, you got to maneuver. It takes a while to turn around. And even if you're going straight, 60 miles an hour, and you slam on the brakes, you will still travel a couple of car lengths. So, if you are on a train and you stop, the emergency brake, will you immediately stop? No. The weight of the train, depending on how fast it was going, will carry the train further even though the wheels have stopped. And then if we talk about, can you stop a ship, an ocean liner? Is there such a thing called an emergency brake where it suddenly stops? Even to make a turn, how long does it take? You have to do certain things. It will take a while until you make a turn. Okay, so here's question number 2. How long will it take to turn to God? The answer to both questions about how far does it take, how much time does it take, and how much effort does it take, in terms of distance, time, and turning, the answer is the same. It's instantaneous. When you hear the divine within you, you can connect to heaven, connect to the world of spirit, connect to God himself in a moment. Now, how could that be? Everything physical takes time. Why is bridging heaven to earth so quick? And the answer is because heaven and earth are not distant at all. Heaven and earth are actually in the same time and in the same place. You say, that sounds rather silly. Heaven is holy, it's spiritual, it's non-physical. Earth is mundane, it's the five senses. So the Alter Rebbe gives us a remarkable insight into distance and closeness. Imagine two people whose flesh are touching one another. Are they close or far? You say, well, if they're actually touching one another, and we're talking about two physical people, they have to be very close. And yet, says the Alter Rebbe, they could be not only distant, but worlds apart. How could that be? Imagine two people back to back. So the flesh might even be touching the flesh, or the shirt might be touching the shirt. And yet, they are so far from each other. Though they are physically sharing the same square footage, they're actually in different worlds. Why? They're looking in different directions. They see different things. They're evaluating the environment from a completely different perspective. Now, if I ask you, how do you bridge those worlds? Well, turn around. What happens if you turn around and literally, your noses are touching? You can't get any closer than that. What do you see? All you see is the other person's eyes. So the distance between heaven and earth is not a physical distance, it's a perspective. When you are on earth, facing heaven, directed towards heaven, you are touching heaven. And therefore heaven is on earth. If, however, you choose to be in the Holy Land of Israel, touching the Western Wall, the holiest place, and yet you figuratively turn your back at the wall and you're thinking of something completely unholy, you're not in Israel. You're not in the Western Wall. You're not in a place of light. You're somewhere completely different. So now we are in the Hebrew time of the year, approximately 5 weeks from the new year. So here we are. Let's picture someone, 27 years old, in the best of health, good shape, plenty of money, and for the last 12 years of his life has been focused on only one thing and one thing only, and that is me, I. And he lives for day by day pleasure. And he weighs 160 pounds and he's 6'1". I mean, we're talking a person who has a momentum and a velocity that's going down as a human being and as a spiritual human being. And one day, as he's jogging towards another form of illicit pleasure, he hears a voice from within. And it says, "What are you doing? What are you accomplishing? Who are you?" And suddenly he stops. And seconds or milliseconds later, he does a mental turn, a spiritual turnabout. And he says, what am I doing? No, I am not this idiot who's on the path to nowhere. I got to revisit what is right, what is wrong, who I am. At that moment, he did teshuvah, he returned. You say, well, doesn't it take time? You can't stop a train immediately. Here we have 27 years. We have 12 years of hedonism, of the I, the ego. We have 160 pounds of this, going. How does he stop right away? The answer is, God is with him at all times. It's just that he wasn't facing him. It doesn't take long to turn around to face. 5 weeks before the new year, we could hear that voice. Okay, I'm X amount of years. God was gracious to me. I lived through a COVID, and I lived through a this, and I lived through a that. I have my health, I have my family, I have my... Where am I going with this? What am I doing with this? How am I being useful? How do I make my life meaningful? Oh, I can't change, I'm 65. Yes, you can. Because heaven and earth are not far, and man and God are not far. So let's take this time seriously. It's a happy time. It's a good time. It's a time of fortune. It's a time of change. And it's a time of remarkable, extraordinary achievement that can be done literally in a moment. So if someone loves you and is calling out, don't be a fool. Turn around and say, Hineni, here I am. Shalom.